Academic. I am not a lawyer. I am not an academic. I am not a sociologist of any kind. I am a journalist. And my book is an attempt to bridge the gap between the work that, the very good work that academics have done on the question of why income inequality has been increasing over the last 33 years, and the general public. And the book is just out in paperback, I should also say. So let's. This is going to be kind of a quick review of what the problem is. Oops. Okay. There are two types of income inequality, and this doesn't often get explained very well. There have really been two trends that have been occurring simultaneously since 1979. One trend is a growing divergence between skilled labor and unskilled labor, or moderately skilled labor. This is sometimes called broad-based inequality or quintile-based inequality. And the other simultaneous trend is famously the 1% versus the 99%. Which is to say the affluent and the rich versus everybody else. By both measures, inequality shrank for much of the 20th century, from the early 1930s through the late 1970s, and grew starting in the late 1970s. This kind of puts the lie to the notion that income inequality, or growing income inequality anyway, is inherent to capitalism. These two types of income inequality are not necessarily linked. I think the broad-based inequality has multiple causes, and I'm not going to discuss that much today because I don't think it has much to do with financialization. The 1% versus the 99% kind of inequality is nice and simple, and that's what I'm going to mostly focus on today. There is one significant way in which these two trends are linked, and that is in the shrinkage of wages as a portion of GDP, which is now at a 50-year low. You know, there are lots of different ways to measure this, but it seems to me the most credible studies suggest that we are seeing a shift in allocation of GDP from labor to capital, and there are some pretty obvious reasons why that should occur that we'll get to in a moment. So here's the trend over the last 100 years or so. We see that income share for the top 1% shrank until the late 1970s, and then it expanded. As of 2008, we had 18% share, income share for the top 1%, which was more than twice what it was in the early 1970s. Actually, twice what it was in the late 1970s. And you see it a bit better here in black and white. You see the period known as the Great Compression, a term that Harvard University economist Claudia Goldin has applied to this period because incomes were compressing. And that was true during the Depression and World War II, which is perhaps not that surprising, but it was also true during the post-war boom, which is surprising. And then starting around 1979, we see that the top 1% starts to regain